Hey everyone, it's Sam here. Thank you for watching. So I'm making a sample card, well I'm making a few actually, but the one that I want to do is going to have all of these wonderful characters all together, but they're going to be, you know, in front of each other, behind each other. So I'm going to have to do the masking technique, and I have shared a tutorial before and I use this technique a lot during Facebook Live, so I thought it'd be nice to revisit it, film it, do it. So I've got a newer video showing this technique. So what people commonly use to do this technique is masking paper, which is just a low tack sticky paper. So you can also use post-it notes, you can use post-it rolls. So this is just a roll of very low tack sticky paper. You can also just use copy paper and just hold it in place. You could use some spray adhesive on the back, just a very light amount. You can also use this here, which is called drawing gum, and this you would paint it over the area using a very thin paintbrush. So stamp your image and then literally paint over the image. Don't colour it or anything, you'll do that afterwards, and then stamp everything else, and then at the end you just roll with your finger, you just roll this stuff off and it just peels right off. Because once you've stamped all the images on the masking paper, you need to fussy cut it, and that's obviously not for everyone. So if you don't like fussy cutting but you still want to create this effect, then the drawing gum is really good stuff as well. So what I've already done here, as you can see, is I've created these masks here. So I just got my roll of tape here and just ripped some off and stamped my image. If my image was a bit bigger, I just popped two together, you know, to make it wider. But keep the masks. So you can see there, I've just stuck them over the front of my stamp sheet here. And actually from the back, you can see how vibrant they are. So you get to see all the detail as well that's in that stamp. I'm not going to be using these ones. I already laid out how I wanted this to look. That's the other stamp set as well that comes in that collection. But what I want to do is, I think I'm going to end up doing a DL easel card. The stamping and the technique that I'm showing you, you can do on any size card. Okay, so I've got my piece of card and I've got my stamping platform here. I'm just going to lay that down. Now, first of all, I would lay out all of your, you know, stamps where you roughly want them to go. So I'll just take those off, and him and those ones there. So I did kind of have a little play around. She was there. He was going to be there, and then Dougal in the middle, like so, and then no, he was there, like, and literally lay the stamps over each other, just as you would want this scene to look. So it's going to be like that, and then Zebedee is going to just be hopping away like so. I think that's going to work quite nicely. So already I can see that these three here are in front of these three here. So they need to be stamped first. So whatever you want in the foreground, you stamp first, and then you start working your way back. So I'm now going to remove this one and this one, just kind of position them again. Now he's not touching anyone, so I can stamp him straight away as well. I'm going to use Memento because I'm going to colour this using my alcohol markers. So I'm just going to pick that all up, cover that with all my ink, and then stamp that down. I'll probably have to do it a couple of times. I didn't actually prime these stamps. These are brand new, so you might find that you'll have to stamp it a few times, sometimes stamp with stays on. That's always a good ink to kind of prime and condition your stamps. There's usually a residue left on from the factories, so it's worthwhile just sometimes rubbing your palm over it or giving them a wash, a clean under, you know, rinse under the tap. Okay, sometimes when you've got a lot of stamps together, they might not all stamp perfectly, so I've just removed him because he's stamped fine. There's just a little bit that I'm missing there and the bottom of his spring. It's all the bits here which are really close to that stamp. So sometimes removing a stamp, there we go, see they've stamped much better now. So now I'm going to take those ones away, and then you'd stamp them again on your masking sheet, and now you're going to mask them off completely. So I'm just going to lay down each one. You want it to cover everything. I've just realised my little cow's kind of like slightly wonky, but it looks like he's kind of you know, dancing. I don't think you're going to notice that much. And then also Zebedee, because although he's not touching anyone, I am going to stamp some trees over all of this in a minute. Okay, so now I can take these two. So he is going to go just there. And then she's going to go there. Again, I'm going to pick those up and then get them stamped. And now this is when the masking sheets come into play, because they will take the ink in the areas where you don't want it to stamp. So it will then look like these characters are in the background. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I can remove all of that, and then I've got the other two masks for these ones. And what you could now do is you could ink your whole background. So if you wanted to use your, you know, like your distressed oxides and create a nice green and then like blue sky, you can do all that and it won't cover your characters because you've masked them off. Okay, so I can take this away now, and using the other stamp set here, you've got these trees and they're just silhouette stamps, so it means I can create some really nice backgrounds with these. So just going back to conditioning your stamps, I could just rub over that now with my palm, and you can just kind of rub off any residue and like the natural oils in your hand and stuff. It kind of goes a bit cloudy. It's just going to then allow the ink to, you know, grip a bit better. And then I'm going to use this bright spring meadow colour here to create the trees in the background. So I'm just going to load that up like so, and then just stamp that down, and then lift it up and straight away stamp again. And that's what's known as second generation stamping. You can also stamp again and then it's third generation, and it will create like a lighter image behind. So again, it just creates that foreground and background with the trees as well. I'm just going to repeat that all the way along. I actually think, because that is quite a light green, I'm just going to take a slightly darker green and add that as well. I'm going to use this grasshopper green. This is slightly darker. Apologies for my camera, I didn't realise it was moving, so I've clipped it back in place again, so it should stay put now. So again, just that darker, let's do one there. This is where you'll get that second generation a bit better. Okay, so right now it looks like a hot mess, but it's all in the reveal. So I just like to use some tweezers, because you want to be able to keep all of these masks, and just carefully lift them off. So now you can see we've got these two behind, these three here, and then we've got the trees behind again. So I'm now going to colour this all in with my alcohol markers, and then I'm going to pop it all up onto an easel card. So it's now the next day. You would have seen me colour all of that in, but I've also added some accent glaze, so you can see on the cheeks there, the bow, on the shell, the nose there, and it's lovely when it catches the light. Really pleased with this, think it looks lovely. So I've already added some foam to the back of it, and I've stuck it onto a piece of, well, it was half of a DL size, because it's going onto a DL card. So this piece is 4 1/8 by 8 1/4. I've then cut this piece here, which is 8 1/4 squared, and along the 8 1/4 side I've scored at 2 and then 4 1/8. So it's kind of halfway, but that's fine. So 2 and then 4 1/8, which is halfway. And then fold that in half, fold that in half again, and we've got our easel card. I've then cut this piece here, which will fit, so it's 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. I did trim it down a little bit smaller because I used my linen embossing folder here, linen print, and this piece was a little bit longer for it, so I've just trimmed it down, but it's still a nice layer to go inside there. And then I've taken the sentiment here from one of the stamp sets, sending good wishes in a roundabout way, popped it all up on foam, gave it a little red border there, and that's going to be our stopper. So I'm going to add glue now all onto the front of this one, and you're going to stick this down just on that front fold, okay? And I'm going to stick this down as well. Okay, so that's all stuck down, and then for the stopper, it's up to you where you have it. You can have it, you know, quite far forward, have it further back, depending on how big your sentiment is. I think I'm going to have mine about here, so I just get that centered first, and then that will just sit nicely behind. I just hold it up there, you can see it a bit better. I'm not going to add any more to this. I was thinking about maybe a small little hello sentiment there or something, but I just want it to be all about the images there, and then that sentiment when you open it up. You've got space inside here to write your message, and you've also got space on the back there as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this slimline DL size easel card from me today, showing you the masking technique in a little bit more detail. As always, I will have all of the product that I've used in the description box below, and I'll have some other easel cards coming up now as well. You might want to watch those so you can take this technique and use it on those other sizes and shapes. And as always, if you've enjoyed today, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel, and I'll be back again very soon with more tutorials. Take care. Bye.